We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, here it is. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go, Sports Bar. Brandon Carnes here with Justin Feldkamp and Deon Thompson. It's season 3, episode 28, and it is the basketball wrap episode, the end of the hoops season. And we'll start with some seasons that came to an end in the MAC tournament last weekend, gentlemen. We'll start with the MAC side of things. Not a great tourney for the Toledo men, the BG women, the BG men. Toledo women, though, made their way to the MAC final, fell to eventual champion Ball State in the final. Just get your general thoughts on the MAC tourney. Deon, we'll start with you.
Just honestly, this is one of the first times that the tournament's played out to the seeding. You know,
especially on the women's
that
side.
we've seen in a while. Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, what can you say? Akron on the guys' side, they've been strong all year, playing a lot of guys, but they do it with a lot of guards, though. That's what's amazing. I think you might want to pick them the first round. I'm dead serious about that in the tournament.
Arizona, I think.
Yeah.
They've been playing, right?
Yeah, Arizona's been up and down all season.
But MAC teams sometimes do well when you're picking brackets. So, and if
It's been a while, though.
It has, but I'm telling you, like, I think this team, they can score. I mean, they're fast, they're quick.
Yeah.
But I think this was like, when you look at the MAC as a whole, there's some really good basketball players in the MAC, like legitimate guys that can play anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin?
Yeah, my commentary kind of falls in line with what Deon said. Everybody in our area, UTBG men and women, both kind of got what they deserved based on what they earned in the regular season and then the corresponding seed that they got in the MAC tournament. So BG squeaks in the final seconds of Friday night in the regular season, and then they get destroyed by Akron in the first round as the 8 seed. UT men, 4 seed, won their first game, but then lose their second game to Akron in a pretty solid game, but at the same time, they didn't have the firepower, and then the defense. I mean, it's like every day you look up and UT's men are giving up 85 to 100 points. So, and then the BG men or BG women played well, had a lead in the fourth quarter, and came up short against Buffalo. And the UT women were the 2 seed, played the 1 seed in the finals, and played them into the fourth quarter. But they'll be in the WBIT hosting Minnesota on Thursday at Savage Arena. So everybody got what they deserved. And I think if I'm a MAC fan and I'm a MAC commissioner or a MAC coach, I want the 1 seed or maybe the 2 seed, depending on how the regular season plays out. I want that seed to win the tournament because that gives me the best opportunity to put the MAC flag on the NCAA tournament map. Yeah. You don't want to have a 4 or 5 seed who just got lucky or caught fire for 3 days in Cleveland and then get destroyed by a 4 seed or a 3 seed or a 5 seed in the tournament because you really didn't have the quality roster all season long. So if I'm Akron or I'm John Steinbrecher, the commissioner, I'm loving the fact that Akron won. And they got some people back from last year's MAC tournament team. They won back-to-back MAC tournaments, so they got a chance to make some noise this time around.
Some postseason news that came out yesterday. Javen Simmons, Seth Hubbard, both entering the portal for the Toledo men's side. And then Marcus Johnson on the BG's men's side and Lexi Flemings both enter the portal as of Tuesday. More of those could come and more to come on the show. Got our clip of the week by Renewal by Anderson. We'll see how the season wrapped up for other area hoops teams. Our game of the week recap this week, and we'll see who took home the student section of the season. You want a brand new episode every single Wednesday right here on the BCSN Nation podcast, anywhere you get your audio, or bcsnnation.com/podcast. And while you're at it, hit the follow button on @BCSN Sports on all your social media pages. You know what happened last week also? First team All-BCSN top 5 lists came out, presented by 𝗦𝗽cie. We'll start this thing out looking at the girls list. Cisco, throw it up. Here we go. Top 5 girls list. Brooke and Elise Bender from Anthony Wayne make the top 5 list. Ellie Everts from Gibsonburg, only a sophomore. Nina Sims from Notre Dame. Victoria Gray from Bedford. Common denominator, all 5 of those girls had huge efforts in their team's playoff pushes. And, of course, no stunner to see Elise and Brooke on that list.
No doubt. I think Elise is we've been putting together this first team All-BCSN/13ABC since 2016 when I arrived in Toledo. Elise Bender is the first player to be first team All-BCSN 4 times.
4 times.
Zaya Cook was very, very, very close her freshman year, but she was on a very good Rogers team her freshman year and didn't get a ton of minutes. She was still superb, but just missed out. And it always kind of depended upon the pool of talent at that same year and that same season. So hats off to elise, but she and Brooke were terrific. We'll talk more about them coming up later in the podcast.
No spoilers.
Based on their state championship game against Winton Woods. But Ellie Everett's a sophomore. I know that Dion is high on her. Nita Sims was kind of the glue girl for that Eagles-Notre Dame team, and it didn't really pop out when it comes to statistics, but she has all those intangibles that a coach just loves, and I know Travis Galloway is going to miss her. And then Victoria Gray, we'll talk about her in a little bit here, but 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. Just let that sink in. 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. She's their all-time leading scorer, led them to state tournament opportunities in multiple years in her 4-year career. And she plays basketball 4 months a year because she's going to Indiana University for volleyball. So she's just a plug-and-play. She'll figure it out. She'll use her athleticism, and she makes her teammates better.
Hey, you said it. I mean, there's not much else to say on that. You know what I mean? I think this is a good list. I really like the sophomore, Everts, scoring 1,000 points your sophomore year. I mean, I don't think you guys understand how crucial that is. She's probably going to hit over 2K points just because how she plays. She led her team. I watched Elise in that state game, and I thought she played outstanding. You know, she showed up. So, I think it's a good list for the girls.
Yeah, Elise finished with 2,064 points. 2,064 points heading to Villanova.
All right, we got Ellie Everts, a number to chase over the next couple years. 2,064, Ellie, you got to top that. Now we'll go to the boys list. Cisco, give me that thing. Here we go. Top 5 boys list, of course, presented by Midas. Antoine West from Whitmer, Isaiah Mack Russell, 𝗦𝗫 𝗏𝗏, 𝗦𝗫cie 𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗁, Sean Foster. A couple stud sophomores on this list, and a couple Whitmer Panthers that are heading to D1 hoops. And then, of course, we know 𝗦𝗫cie 𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗁 and what he has done to blossom as the season's gone, Dion.
Yeah, so speaking of 𝗦𝗫cie, I got an interesting story about him. You guys know, I think 𝗏𝗏, the gentleman that plays for Duke. That's his first cousin. So the mom, I didn't know this. Shouts out to Francis Stevens. Yeah, we were talking about it. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But when you look at the 2 sophomores and Foster and Russell, Mac Russell, those guys are going to have some serious high offers. They already got a lot of offers. Yeah. And this is probably one of the first times in my recollection that we have 2 guys from the same team, you know, on here in terms of West and Leach. So a great list, you know, a couple guys on the outside looking in, like we always talk about. Sometimes with lists, you know, there's always going to be a little controversy of guys getting left out. But I think I'd win a lot of games if I had these guys.
If that's your top 5, you're doing all right.
Absolutely.
And if whoever number 6 and 7 are coming off your bench, you're going to win a whole lot of basketball games, especially with talent here in Northwest Ohio. Justin?
Yeah, Antoine West, we've said it, but some people may be new to the podcast. Purdue Boilermaker commit, 𝗏𝗫 𝗏𝗏, the teammate there, a BGSU Falcon commit. So they combined for 21 and 17 points a game. So Coach Anthony Stacy is going to have a void there to fill next year.
No question.
But there have been a pretty solid stream of talent that have come through under Coach Anthony Stacy. I think a lot of players want to play for him and find a way to his roster because what he's done at the college level as a player and as a coach and what he's doing. And we've talked about it a couple times on the Game Day Nation, Dion, where he's kind of a father figure to a number of those kids. And not just the star players, the one who grab all the headlines. He cares deeply about his entire roster, as do all coaches, but worth mentioning there as we talk about the top 5 here. 𝗦𝗫cie 𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗁, a junior, he'll be back. Coach Mike Schoen says that he's really looking forward to his off-season growth because last year he had that back injury that kind of prevented him from maybe taking his game to an even higher level than it was. Obviously still pretty good as one of our top 5 players. And Isaiah Mack Russell, one of my most fun players to watch because he just does the right things. He's versatile. That's the one thing that I've noticed, Dion, over the last, 5, 10, 15 years, 5, 10 years, is the ability for players, no matter what size, height, weight, to be able to do so many different things with the basketball. And you see that at the NBA level with Luka Doncic being near 7 foot and being like a point guard out there. But I think, I don't know, I guess as a sports fan, you'd like to see the creativity no matter how big or medium or small you are.
Yeah.
I think it lends itself to more quality viewing experience.
Yeah, Luke is only 6'7", so I mean, if you think
Yeah,
about it, he
he
plays
moves
really
like
big. And I like what you said about Isaiah Mack Russell, because there are a few guys on the list that don't have to be ball dominant. Race,
Sure.
Isaiah Mack Russell, they don't need like a million dribbles to get to their spots. They get the balls, 1 or 2 quick moves, bang, and I like that about them as well.
Yeah, if you look at Isaiah Mack Russell and Sean Foster, we talked about #1 and #2 ranked sophomores in Ohio in that sophomore class. A great pool of talent to pull from, and I'm sure we'll see one, if not both of them, on this list for a couple more years to go. And, of course, Antoine West, like Justin said, headed to Purdue. 𝗦𝗫𝗍 𝗏, a BGSU commit. And 𝗦𝗫𝗍 𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝗀, we know whether he's putting in the work with Coach Mike Schoen or he's putting in the work with his dad over the summer, the ceiling is not yet touched with what 𝗦𝗫𝗍 𝗏𝗴𝗁 can do in the future. Justin,
I do want to mention, you say how Sean Foster and Isaiah Mack Russell likely to be on future first-team All-BCSNs, and I'm not going directly against that, but the one thing I've learned in playing a role in compiling these lists is don't necessarily count your chickens before they hatch, because there are odd things that develop, and I'll bring up some names. Jerry Easter Jr.
Sure.
decided to depart the Toledo area. Grace Van Sluten decided to depart the Toledo area. You'll have Emmanuel
Miles.
Christian, Nate Miles, who
Likely.
decides to transfer and then comes back, so only plays half the season. So it's hard for us to validate, okay, do you advance from the top 30 to the top 10 or the top 5 if you only played half the season?
Yeah.
So there are unique circumstances that are going to present themselves that you didn't necessarily foresee
Fair point.
now 2025, looking ahead.
Okay.
So there's always people, and you know what? I think some of these lists, at least I'd like to think so, Dion, that when we put these lists out, obviously we've explained how we put it together, reach out to coaches. It's not just the 3 of us or the 2 of us or whatever the case may be. When we put these lists out, it gives kids, hey, I want to be on that list sometime. I want to figure out a way
Gives you
to
something
put
to
in the
shoot for.
work. Literally, pun intended, well done. So I think that it offers up a motivating force for some younger players.
Well, I'm glad you, hold on. The best thing you said, because I have to get my hair cut today, is it's just not us putting the list out, guys.
Yeah.
So when you guys see me, stop complaining about, there are a whole lot of factors, a whole lot of
there's a
people.
lot going on around here.
Right, they're going to making these lists. So thanks for saying that.
Well, I strategically reach out to coaches that I trust from a variety of leagues and conferences around our area, not just in a small centric bubble, but across the area to get a wide swath of perspective and opinion.
Well, it's consistent, too. If you look at Players of the Year, if you look at the first team all-league guys. So I think the list is real consistent.
Absolutely. Well, we continue to debate the future lists and what Dion's haircut should look like when he leaves. We'll come back after 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings. Hit it, Cisco.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash, I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. I want to go back. Go! Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All right, as we continue the show, now it's time to head north of the border. The Bedford Kickin' Mules girls were in action last night in the Division I state quarterfinal, taking on maybe one of the best logos.
I was just about to say that. The W in there?
Zebras of
It's a
Wayne,
little
the
hidden?
sneaky little W in there, the Wayne Memorial Zebras. If the logo did the trick last night, maybe that's what it was. 55-37, the Mules season comes to an end, but that top 5 player on our list, Victoria Gray, did some work. 17 points, 16 boards, a tremendous season, 24-3, the overall record for this Bedford team, Justin.
Yeah, they were great. They've been on deep postseason runs year after year after year, and it seems like Bedford runs into a Detroit area program deep into the postseason, and they're playing at that Division I level. So you're, Temperance, Bedford, not necessarily a huge metropolitan area, but they churn out some athletes year after year, sport after sport. And sometimes I think what Coach Bill Ryan mentioned is worth mentioning here to our viewers and listeners is a lot of Bedford players and athletes are multi-sport athletes, 2 and 3 different sports over the course of an entire academic sports calendar year. And when they go up against these teams deep into the postseason, you might have some basketball-only girls playing on the other side. And I think that's what happened a little bit in their state quarterfinal game on Tuesday night. They played well against the 3, defended the 3 very well. They out-rebounded Wayne. But I think the defensive pressure, and we've seen that it's bitten a couple of our teams here in the postseason late. The Anthony Wayne girls got beat by Winton Woods defensive pressure. St. Francis boys got beat by Westerville North's defensive pressure. And now Wayne Memorial's defensive pressure took it to Bedford. But they fought till the end. They were down by double digits multiple times throughout the game, but battled back, tried to get it close, but just kind of ran out of juice and firepower. But hats off to Coach Bill Ryan. I think he's been there for 21 years.
Yes.
And he's a consistent winner. A consistent winner.
Yeah, you want consistent winning. This 4-year stretch Bedford has had 88-13 has been the overall record in the 4-year stretch that we can amount to partially Victoria Gray's tenure on the hoops area for Bedford. Dion.
Listen, Victoria Gray always puts up Angel Reese stats, 17 and 16. She's playing volleyball right now. A lot of people may not know that.
Yeah, she hangs out on the basketball court, 4 months, 5 months a year.
So interesting recruiting story about her. So she loved basketball
Sure.
all the way through. She had got offered by Michigan State. Then, so her sophomore year, people don't know this. She didn't start playing volleyball till her sophomore year. So someone asked if she could play on this travel volleyball team, right? She goes. Indiana coach sees her, comes back, calls her dad, says, "Hey, we'd like to offer your daughter." It's like, he's thinking basketball.
Yeah, for hoops, right. That's awesome.
It's volleyball. They go down, meet with the coach. The coach says, "You know what? I'm not a gambling person, but I seen you. 45 seconds, I was like, I have to have her." Once she got that offer and accepted, before you know it, Duke starts calling, North Carolina starts calling. So she had decisions to make.
Put her name on the radar.
Yeah, and think about it. She's only like 6'1". So the conditioning you have to be in to play inside with her, once again, she's not a ball-dominant person. She's basically a post player. And to be able to lead your team, this goes to show how important rebounding is. Young people, this also goes to show late bloomers are still around, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So 17 points, 16 rebounds, 1,000 and 1,000.
Yep.
She knew her role, and she played it.
But she said, we battled. We came out at halftime, and we tried to figure out a way to get back into the game. But it just wasn't enough. But I did my best. And sometimes you might think that's Pollyanna type of talk, like I did my best. But you know what? She really did. Her team really did. And it is reassuring. We're still talking about high school athletes here. And if you push yourself to play your best and do your best, sometimes it is enough to get a dub. Sometimes it's not enough to get a dub.
Sure.
But you live with it. And then you have a microphone in front of you and just say what you feel. And it was just heartwarming a little bit for me, for someone who has kids and obviously is fully engulfed with sports as a career and home front, to hear someone like that, of that caliber, to say the right things. So hats off to Victoria Gray and the Kicking Mules.
A great season for Bedford does come to an end, and now we got to get into our clip of the week, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Cisco, you know what to do. Clip of the week takes us, we're staying north of the border, why not? Dubuque and Adrian on the lacrosse field. Boy, howdy, Michael Jonas had himself a day and had himself a play on this one. Gets the ball, the spin move, the ability to stay out of the crease, get in the air, and get the finish. If he lands in the crease, it's a no goal. He keeps himself out of there, gets the score. Oh, by the way, guys, he had 5 of these on the day. 5 goals, 4 assists did Michael Jonas have for Adrian, the MIAA player of the week for the Bulldogs. Impressive. We're getting into spring sports, boys.
Yeah, he stayed out of the crease because he took a shot from the goalie. Usually it's the other way around, the goalie taking a shot, but the goalie kind of engaged the contact there.
Between him and 24, whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
Physicality.
Might be a little sore tailbone after that game.
Hey, you ice it off with 9 points. You'll take that one. Player of the week makes it feel a little bit better, I think. Dion, what's your lacrosse breakdown?
I'm just looking at the juke moves right here.
There
real.
you go. Spin. Get
that's
to the
nice.
center.
A little reverse spin move, drop off.
The body control, incredibly impressive on the way down to realize if I fall in a bad spot here, A, ow, B, no goal. I did all this for nothing, right?
And for you listeners, you see how they play me. They know I don't know anything about lacrosse.
I put Dion on the spot for his final episode.
But I do respect the athleticism in the play. You know what I mean?
Final score 23-7. Adrian putting up hoops type numbers, and again, Michael Jonas 9 points. 5 goals, 4 assists, MIAA Player of the Week. Congratulations, Michael Jonas for our clip of the week. You want more clips just like that, head over to our TikTok at BCSN Sports. You know what else we gave out last week? We gave out a chain for student section of the season. The winner is the Knights of St. Francis. They get the chain. You see them celebrating. Raheem Brown there in the center holding it up. Cisco, we got some video to roll with this. Here we go. The beautiful shots from Jose celebrating with the chain. This place was raucous. It was a send-off party for the state Final Four. Jimmy Heck and company over there holding the chain and celebrating. They had anybody, everybody, and their mom out there in the central at St. Francis as they went down. We'll talk about that here in a second, but thank you again to Unison Health and the student section of the season award, Mental Health Recovery Services Board of Lucas County. They'll go up against Maumee to see who wins student section of the year at BCSN Honors. But while we're talking about St. Francis, let's keep rolling with the state Final Four matchup the Knights had, taking on the Warriors of Westerville North. And another season, unfortunately, comes to a close, 73-52 the final. Jimmy Heck putting up buckets in his final game just was not enough. The inside game wasn't working for him this time, Deanna, that you were so focused on.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, Westerville, they were able to speed St. Francis up. You know, if St. Francis were to have a chance, we knew they were going to play that big zone, kind of, you know, trying to get guys to slow the game down. Maybe if they would have kept the score in the 50s, you know, or whatever, they would have had a better chance. But Westerville North, they only have 2 losses. So I don't think you have anything to be ashamed of. I think you have a lot to build off of. And think about where St. Francis came from. In the middle of the year, I mean, a lot of times they weren't even in my top 5. So what they did at the end of the year, they got hot at the right time. And, you know, hey, these are hard to come by. It's not easy to win a state. It's not easy to even get to the Final Four. So they should be very happy with what they accomplished this season.
Yeah, first time they've gotten to the regional since 1995. First time they've gotten to the state tournament since they won it all in 1983. So that reinforces the difficulty that Dion is bringing up of trying to get this far into the postseason tournament. And Coach Jamie Kaczmarek answered the questions to the media after the game. You know, why did you guys struggle against the defensive pressure? And he said, Westerville North. So it's the opponent playing a large factor in an outcome, obviously. They forced 18 turnovers against St. Francis. They were down. St. Francis was 21-11 after the first quarter. So you're digging yourself a 10-point deficit from the get-go. It's hard to come back from that. They rushed some shots. They couldn't establish that inside game that has really got them on that long playoff run by having both Horton brothers in the paint and playing inside out, something that you were saying back in December, Deon, I remember during Game Day Nation. So it's going to be Westerville North against Massillon Perry, who beat North Royalton in the other Division II state semifinal. But, yeah, St. Francis, great season, a real mixture of good talent coming together at the right time, a mixture of solid point guard play, kind of a playmaker guard in Raheem Brown, Alan Horton, very, very close to making our first team All-BCSN on the inside, similar to Victoria Gray as far as a double-double machine. Alan Horton has had some terrific games where you just eye-popping stat lines.
And he's improved this year. From one year to the next, this has been a big season for him.
And he's a junior.
A problem next year for sure.
And I think what I've talking to coaches, his next thing that he can add to his toolkit is full aggressiveness from the opening tip to the final buzzer,
while staying out of foul trouble.
Aggressiveness from December 1st through mid-March. If he can do that, I think a lot of coaches are going to say, wow, okay, he took that next step because he has all those skill sets. And then, you know, designing an offense. This is obviously the first season in which he was playing a full season at St. Francis. So Coach Kaczmarek trying to find ways to run that offense through him. So he'll be solid again next year.
So shout out to Coach Kaczmarek and the Knights for a great postseason run. They finish in the state semifinal, but now we'll go to our Game of the Week recap, brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Cisco, hit it. Game of the Week recap edition. State finals were the Anthony Wayne Lady Generals, led by our first team All-BCSN stars, Elise and Brooke Bender, and just couldn't get it done. 19 turnovers. I think the big telling story for the Lady Generals, Dion.
Listen, if you watch that game, I mean, I'm going to say this, and I think it's fair to say, I think the better team won. The turnovers were created by that pressure. I mean, that pressure was a lot. And we got to mention this too. 𝗦𝗽cie, that first quarter, she was outstanding. She picks up 2 fouls, kind of has to sit most of the second quarter.
Sure.
And I think that hurt too. But I'm gonna be honest with you, if you watch, they were so much quicker. They seemed like, they were giving them fits. That press was really good. And I don't know if Anthony Wayne has seen a team that quick all year. So how do you practice for that? How do you adjust to it? I mean, I think in this case, once again, if you're Anthony Wayne, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Great season. You're going to look back a few years from now and say, you know what? It stings right now, but you're going to look back and say, man, we did a really great thing just making it to the state final.
An all-time legacy-type season for this group of Lady Generals, Justin.
Yeah, I was on the baseline for this, shooting highlights for BCSN and reporting and talking to the coaches. It's been fun covering Anthony Wayne, so hats off to the program there that Coach Jamie Carter has built over the last few years. Here's the difference. If you take the top 3 players for Anthony Wayne and the top 3 players for Winton Woods, they match up quite evenly. Players 4, 5, 6, 7 for Anthony Wayne, players 4, 5, 6, 7 for Winton Woods. Winton Woods had the distinct and clear advantage. So that was how the game played out. The Bender sisters were legit. They looked apart. Winton Woods is from the Cincinnati area, so you had Cincinnati media there. A Cincinnati reporter was sitting next to me shooting highlights, and he asked me during a media timeout, he said, number 12 and 14, the Bender sisters, he said, number 12 for Anthony Wayne, is she going anywhere for college? I said, yeah, she's going to Villanova. So that kind of echoes what we're talking about, how she looked the part.
Yes.
She looked under control. The moment was not too big for the Bender sisters. 𝗦𝗽cie, in her own estimation, I think would say that she had too many turnovers. And some of them were because of pressure. Yeah. Others were occasionally happens in any level of basketball, including the NBA or WNBA. But you mentioned the defensive pressure and how that's hard to replicate. 100% it is. Coach Jamie Carter did her best to go play teams from Indiana, go play Purcell Marion, a team that is similar caliber to Winton Woods. Yeah. But it's leading into it, 5-6 days of preparation without getting other elite level players up there to be able to play defense. If you're trying to say, okay, replicate the 5 starters for Winton Woods with your second team, it ain't going to happen. You can try to put 6 or 7 players out there to replicate the intense defensive pressure, but I just think that it wasn't going to happen. But one note for this, volleyball in the fall for Anthony Wayne, lost in the state finals. Basketball in the winter, lost in the state finals. Softball, they're going to be right there. It'll be interesting to see how far the softball team goes in the spring.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half-off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
Great time to be a general. Great time to get into our games list, brought to you by 𝗦𝗽cie𝗿𝘁𝘀. Hit me with my games list. It's not super full this week, all right? We're in a transition period from the winter into the spring seasons. We've got Basketball Super League, Kokomo, and the Glass City Wranglers. That'll be 7 p.m. on Thursday, and then the Walleye are back in town after a overtime-filled week that they've had over the last couple weeks. Toledo taking on Wheeling, and then La Crosse, Siena Heights, and Adrian. Any takes on what's going on up there?
I don't have any, but I do want to say this really quick. Thank you, guys. I had a great time doing this podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Is my first year, doing the whole thing. I had so much fun. I got a lot of great feedback from out in the community. People can see it. They see we're having a good time up here, and I really enjoyed it this year.
We're gearing up for Walleye, so the postseason begins in mid-April. But Walleye, what do you know? Once again, you look up and it's mid-March, and they're in first place, playing well. So it's going to be not only that overlap season here. I just put some schedule for the next 2-3 weeks here on BCSN. We're nearing that time in mid-April. We got Mud Hens and Walleye. Downtown Toledo going to be bumping, and we got a minute 30 here to go. Mud Hens opening day, Friday, March 28th, because we don't have a podcast next week, but Friday, March 28th, we will be downtown at the home plate entrance. So if you're coming down there, come on by, say hello. And then if you're not, watch it live on BCSN. We'll get you set for another exciting season of 𝗦𝗽cie baseball in the 419.
There you go. That'll do it for us. The final episode of basketball season. Shout out to Justin. Of course, shout out to Dion for being here with us. In the meantime, we're taking a 2-week hiatus. We'll be back on April 9th for baseball and softball season. Wait till you find out who's hanging out at the desk with us. Until then, we are out, and we will see you then.